Hey, Jules Bliss Vegan, and as always, welcome to my channel. And for those of you who are new, I know you can benefit. People, come on, drum roll. I have to giggle because it's just exciting, right? 8 months. What? 8 months. I want to say clean and sober because that by far has been my longest quest. Being clean with food is all new. I mean, in some ways, at times in my life, I was abstinent and even for years, abstaining from foods that triggered me, abstaining from foods that most certainly did not serve me. But then I went on this whole process a few years back and, I found vegan for the first time and it was all new to me. I didn't know much about it or how to even go about it. And then one of the first things I tapped into was raw vegan, and I absolutely went for broke on it and lost a bunch of weight. Look back a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years on my videos, you'll be like, is that you? It is. It is me. But what happened was because I come from disordered eating, I come from binging, I come from purging, I come from starvation. It was really good in the sense that I'm an excellent dieter and I was dieting. I really was. Yes, I was eating all of God's food and almost all raw. So the fruit, the vegetables, a minimal amount of nuts, chia seeds, all super good for me. And it worked. I mean, my gosh, the weight came off, no doubt. But it wasn't sustainable for me. And every, like 6 days, I'd end up binging, go through all the guilt, self-hatred, the, failure, the whole thing. And then I would start again and I'd go a few more days and then I'd falter again. The most I made it was 89 days, but it was white knuckling the whole time and just really, really difficult, And finally, when I stopped doing that, and I wasn't just doing that, I wasn't just raw vegan, which I praise to no end and hope to get back to, honestly, only I will eat a lot more of raw food than I was doing at the time. But it wasn't just that. I was also doing intermittent fasting. I was also doing my, 16 cups of water a day, no matter what. And even though I was still so hungry, and it's really important to eat enough, especially when you're raw, I was so hungry to keep my calories down, I would just eat, another pound of grains, which is only 100 calories. Or I would just drink 8 cups of tea to fill my stomach till morning, and all of it worked. Oh my gosh, all of it worked. And even though I hate being heavy, and I'm by all accounts, in many ways, miserable in this weight. I kind of feel like I'm wearing a fat suit. I don't regret that I went ahead and stopped the intermittent fasting, which people do for health. Please don't hear the negativity on this. It is a blessing for many people. Oh my gosh, it has cured ailments for many people. But for me, again, because I come from disordered eating, it was just one more gimmick for me. And I have healed from many ailments as well. So please don't hear the negativity on raw vegan, which I admire and love to no end, on intermittent fasting, which totally helps people and heals many ailments. Please don't hear that. Because at some point you may hear me going in that direction again if I feel like it's going to help with some ailment or something that I have. So please don't hear that. What I'm saying is because of my disordered eating, because of my mindset and my gameplay, and unfortunately, even at that time, I couldn't see myself. I see the thin pictures now, but at the time I couldn't see it anyway. So I didn't really have the joy and benefit of being in such good shape, of losing the weight that I had lost. I couldn't do it. So this time I'm wide awake. Do, 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 do. I am wide awake and I completely know what I'm doing. So it's taking longer to take the weight off. So at 8 months, and what a pretty chip. I love that it's a gold chip. And for those of you who are going to say, hey, where'd you get that? These are from 12-step programs. Just go online and put in 12-step chips and buy yourself a whole set. I got months 1 through 12. And then I got, I think it just skips from 1 through 12 to 18 months. I got the 18 months. Anyway, they just are accountability for me, but they're also exciting and a little way for me to reward myself. So I'm happy to have my chip, and I love that it's gold. But anyway, so what's my story in these 8 months, a little over 8 months? Well, Tanny Raw is a person that I used to talk about all the time, and I'd say she was a social media phenom in the world of raw vegan, most certainly. And she has thousands, literally thousands of videos on YouTube, thousands of posts on Instagram. And what she used to always say, and a lot of us, the only reason you even know me is from Tanny Ron, from the Raw Reset and videos that I did on Tanny. One of the things that she always said was that eating was the easiest thing she did. Like, people would be like, "Guy, how can you take the time, and how can you prep all that food, and how can you dehydrate, and how can you spiralize your cucumbers, and how can you?" And she's like, life is really hard in just your daily life, but my food is the easiest thing I do. Like, it was just so natural. It was something she did all the time. It was not just a habit, just embedded, right? And she was at the 18-year mark, 20-year mark of being raw, and 30-year mark, really, of just being vegan, right? Because she was finding her way with vegan as well. But anyway, the reason I bring her up is because I'm finally 8 months in, able to think that food is the easiest thing I do. And that is a really fantastic experience, I don't have to stress about food because in less than ever, I'm talking less than ever in all my life, because all my life I was a calorie counter. All my life I was a measurer. All my life I was a scale girl, and diet this and diet that and diet competitions. And even in third grade I was competing with my sisters. Again, starvation down to an apple a day, abundance, binging to 10,000 calories a day, purging and vomiting, all the things, just all the things. And when I came into this and decided that I wanted to be able to eat God's food, and for me, God's food is, of course, fruit, vegetables, but it's also because I'm not doing fully raw right now. It's also just whole grains, right? So, like, I will do rice. I'm really simple. I don't need a ton of ingredients. I don't need huge gourmet meals. I just don't. I'm pretty simple. So for me, I'll do a bowl of rice, I'll do a bowl of pasta with marinara and add vegetables. Like, I'll just keep it that simple, I'll do boiled potatoes, again, with vegetables because I enjoy them so much. I keep it rather simple, but what's so freeing on this plan, and it's basically raw till 4, which was coined, pun intended, by Freely the Banana Girl, who now goes by the Frugivore Diet. But you can still find her under Freely the Banana Girl. But she coined the idea of raw till 4, which actually was by her mother. I was reading that in one of her books. It was her mom who was like, "Guy, you're always raw till 4." And then you seem to want something else, and she was like, "Raw till 4. Yeah, I like that." So she does credit her mother with that. But anyway, it was kind of that. It was like, if the idea that Freely promoted was that if you eat enough and you eat enough of God's food, you won't want anything else. Your body will be satiated. It won't be craving the nonsense. And if you get enough fruit, you most certainly won't be craving the nonsense, because, again, your body's just going to be satiated from getting the healthy, delicious sweetness of the fruit. And so it was kind of scary at first because I really was eating unlimited calories. I mean like 3,200, 3,500 calories, seriously. And just going for like 3,000 calories. Now, the standard American diet, and I don't mean the nightmare American diet. I don't mean junk food-like products. I just mean the recommended FDA, Food and Drug Administration, excuse me, is 2,000 calories, right, for an adult, 2,000 calories. So I knew that hitting 2,000 calories basically means that you're going to allow your body to completely function, and it's going to be able to serve your organs and do all of the things that it basically is required to do. And so I knew that I'd be comfortable if I allowed myself 2,000 calories. When I was really hungry and raw and everything, I was doing more like 14, 15, maybe 16. And that wasn't enough calories for me. I would argue it's not enough calories for an adult body. And if you go in and look at those charts, you'll see they don't recommend that because, again, just to get out of bed, just for your organs to function, you need a certain amount of calories. Anyway, like I said, I was always a measure, weigher, calorie person. What was different about this was that I was actually measuring the calories to make sure I was eating enough, not too little. And that was a whole new concept for me. So anyway, I'm really happy to say, because I'm not on the scale, I get super obsessive and crazy about it, that there's some other ways that I've been able to tell that my body's readjusting. Like my belt is 3 notches smaller, yay God. Some of my shirts are definitely getting much bigger again, when a second ago I had to like put my arms in and stretch them just to fit. Again, just a really miserable feeling, right? For real. My pants finally fitting. Now, haven't been going down. I wish I could say, oh, I'm down 5 sizes. I'm not, but I have to attribute that to being so overweight in my clothes. I was pouring myself into my clothes. I had a muffin top. Praise God, I don't have a muffin top anymore. So I'm kind of just doing things that way. My hair has grown insane inches. I mean, it's like when I was growing up, I had this friend from, she was from here. She was from Southern California, but she'd spent the summers with her grandma in Georgia. And I remember we called her to say, how long's your hair? Because she always had great hair. And she said, about down my back. Well, my hair is about down my back, and it is healthy and lovely. And my skin, I mean, I've never really had acne or anything, but I was having a lot of trouble with my skin. And it's really funny because how I have this dot here, like a natural jewel from India, and it is Jewel, as in Jules Bliss Vegan. But anyway, my skin is trying to figure it out. It's trying to let go of some of the junk that inevitably was stored in the time that I was binging my head off. Because between raw, which was lovely but non-sustainable to me, to junk food vegan, I mean, eating packaged nonsense, eating stuff labeled vegan but debatable, for about 18 months and putting on a truckload of weight, to finally getting clean for 8 months, yay God. I just know that I've kind of been in an 8-month slump. When I got to this 8th month, like this last month, the 7th month was very difficult for me. Like my monkey mind, and unfortunately I don't have my little coconut with me, which is literally a darling little monkey. But my monkey mind started going, hoo, 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 maybe this isn't working. Hoo, hoo, don't you remember how you looked when you were skinny? And I wasn't skinny, but you know what I mean. Much thinner on the raw vegan. Don't you think you should go raw again? Ooh, ooh, ooh. Maybe we should try something else. You want to do a liquid diet? Ooh, ooh, ooh. People are doing this thing called Ozempic. You want to try it? Ooh, ooh. Like, oh my gosh. Because it's hard to be patient. And I was like, you know what? You binged for 18 months. You can at least be clean for 18 months and see how it goes and what it looks like at the 18-month mark. Like, can you do that? And if you're not seeing significant results at that point, you can change it around. Because the truth is, where do I go? It reminds me of the road to Emmaus when those guys were walking with Jesus, and they're like, he's familiar, but I'm not quite sure why. And they didn't recognize him until the breaking of the bread. But when he was challenging the apostles and just saying, like, they were just saying, Jesus, who else are we going to follow? Like, where are we supposed to go? And all the world, where else is there but you? Like, you're being ridiculous to suggest, boys, if you're not up for it, go. Well, it's the same thing. It's like, where am I supposed to go? My prayer was to eat God's food, doing it. Eat God's food in abundance, doing it. Being able to lose weight and sustain it, doing it. Not as fast as I want, but doing it. Like, this is it. There is nothing else. I'm not going to do chemicals. I'm not going to do games. Like, this is it. My prayer was answered, you know? So it's kind of just a waiting game and just knowing that don't stop before the miracle, you know? And I just can't complain on how much freedom I have had. And again, so what happened was I was eating a lot, and I was kind of forcing myself to eat a lot because I felt like if I can eat all of this, even if I'm full or a little bit uncomfortable, there's no room to shove in any of the trash. There's none. And then after a while, because remember, it's only been 8 months, after a while, so like at about the 5.5 or 6 month mark, I just couldn't. So I was still making all that food, but as I was eating it, I was getting to a point where I was like, I can't finish this, and I don't even want to finish it. And then I have to ask myself, is this a game? Is it a diet thing? I always have to do a reality check seriously as a 12-stepper, kind of taking an inventory from Overeaters Anonymous. But when I would realize, no, it's not a game, I'm just genuinely not hungry anymore, then most of the time I'd share it with my pig because it's all good food and she can have it all. But anyway, I know I'm just telling you a lot, but some of you have been following me and some of you are just finding me and some of you are saying, how can I do it, Jules? And I'm just telling you, it's yours for the taking, friends. I keep telling everyone, eat so much good that there's no room for the bad. I've been to a ton of events. I've been in the teacher's lounge with all the treats calling my name. I have no desire. I don't have to, walk myself down from the cliff. I don't have any white knuckling going on. Nothing. I'm free. I'm completely free. And it's all because I dared to eat more of the good stuff so that I wouldn't crave the bad. And that's a big shout out to Freely the Banana Girl. She was saying it forever. And I was like, it's probably true, but not for someone my age. And it's probably true, but not for people who are compulsive overeaters and binge eaters. And she was like, you know what? I don't even believe in that. I don't even believe that people are sick or addicted. I just think that they're eating chemical-laden foods and that they're genuinely hungry because they're malnourished. They might be obese, but they're still malnourished. They're not getting what they need. And I took the leap of faith, and here I am 8 months later, praise God. And I will see you in 9 and 10 and so on. And I'm so happy I bought my chips to celebrate myself, and I'm so glad you guys still check in with me because I am scarce. But here's the prayer for the prayer warriors out there. The prayer is that it's God's intention to give me a job close to home and still be honored for what I'm worth, right? So a good pay and a teaching job close to home, because driving 100 miles a day is a few hours of driving that I could be spending with my family or spending more on taking care of myself and my health, service, right, for others. And so that's the prayer, that I have clarity, and if it's His will, God willing, and the creek don't rise, I'll be local, people, and have way more time for content too. But don't think that I ever forget to pray for my JBV community. That's Jules Plus Vegan. I do. I pray for you guys. So as always, like if you like, join us if you haven't, subscribe. Let me know in the comments below, how may I support you? Every month I challenge you to join me and say, hey, let me hear that you're month 1, month 2, month 3. When I say clean eating, I ain't playing, okay? I haven't sort of had some of this and sort of had some of that and only a bite of this. No, I have been eating all plant-based, whole, delicious food, and I haven't had to falter. So yeah, cheers to clean. Cheers to you. Let's do this thing. Mwah.